Greetings and welcome to another friendly debate here at Words About Games, the fortnightly show where Keith and I debate the shit out of each other. It's been so long since we've done this video, I can't remember
You
anything
can't,
about how this works.
yeah.
It's like a whole new series. Now, we sit every 2 weeks, every two Thursdays, every fortnight on Thursdays, we sit down, we make lists. How do we do that? Well, we pick a topic, and then I make a list, Keith makes a list, we smash it together into a master list, and then we decide to cut things off that list. We take it in turns to go back and forth to decide to cut things. Once we've got to our final number, then we decide we're going to reorder everything into a list and most likely want to stab each other. And I promise, 2 weeks from now, I'll have all of this written down and I'll be reading it off of an iPad. Keith, what's the topic this week?
The topic this week is a totally non-like contentious best original soundtracks to a video game. I mean,
Top 10 video game original soundtracks. I did some preparation.
yeah. I mean, if those of you who've seen these before, maybe go top 10. They've upped it. Yeah, we had trouble doing our own lists just for 7.
Yeah.
Cut down to 5.
So what happened was we realized that video game soundtracks was too much for a top 5. So we expanded the list. And then we expanded. See, there's 10 numbers on the side. And we expanded to 10. And then we were like, damn, this is hard. And then we were like, well, what if we just did a top 10? But we do top 5s. Yeah, but it's our show.
Yeah.
Do whatever the fuck we want.
We can bend the rules because let's be honest here, Amy. We don't exactly follow hard and fast rules in this show.
We don't.
Anyway.
No, we make them up as we're going along. People seem to have caught on to this fact at this point that we just make the fucking rules up. So every now and again, I guess you're going to get top 10s instead of top 5s.
Yeah, and it just means that there's a lot of awesome things we want to discuss.
There is.
Because we're positive on this show, unlike the Words About Games podcast. News podcast.
Just cast. Words About Games cast.
Yeah.
158 episodes. No big deal. So we just did a bit, which is probably going to end up in the outtakes, where I was like, Keith doesn't remember what this is called.
He doesn't know what anything's called at the moment. He's slowly melting into a puddle.
Keith's room is like 1,000,000 degrees. Anyway, this isn't the podcast where we meander on randomly. I had my tooth extracted yesterday, so I'm like the last person who should be hosting a podcast right now.
So I'll do Amy a favour because I believe I have a complete list of what's on that board, and I will read them out for her. So we have Bastion, Doom, 2017 edition, Final Fantasy VII, the original, not the one which is just coming out, God of War, 2018, Halo 2, Halo 3, Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3, A Cuddly Toy, Nier Automata, Ori and the Blind Forest, Persona 5, Pyre, Resident Evil 2, 1998 edition, Silent Hill 2, Transistor, The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt.
It's funny, while I was putting this list together, it's like video games have graduated to a point where we have to sometimes put the year of release of a game in.
I was just thinking, do we have to qualify the year for Silent Hill 2? Has there been a remaster?
No.
Right. Oh yes, that was the one where the remaster would get rid of the fog, and that was a big problem, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was a remaster. And they got rid of the fog, and then they realized the fog was there for a reason.
Yeah.
Cool. So how the first part of this works is me and Keith are going to take turns to nominate something to be cut. Keith is going to go first. He's going to pick a game. He's going to make an argument for cutting it. I'll either accept his argument or I will make a counter argument, and then the final decision of whether it should be cut or not will go back to Keith. So basically, it's a lot of impassioned plays and intense rhetoric. It's gotten intense on this show before.
Yeah, I think prepare for intensity to go up because I'm pretty sure a lot of these things we're trying to cut is going to be like kicking a puppy or possibly with my opening one, shooting a puppy in front of its owner.
And I might just run around to Keith's house really quickly and just hit him. Like, who knows what's going to happen? It's crazy. One thing you should note, however, is don't take the final list too seriously because we never do.
Yeah.
Go on then, Keith. Do it. Break
Do
me.
it.
Make me
Shoot the
cry. Make me cry for the first time on a podcast.
Well, first thing I'll just say, there are a lot, and I mean a lot of great video game soundtracks out there, and the list we've come up with doesn't include all of them, and we had to increase our list because there were so many we wanted to mention. And I think I quite surprised them with the ones that hadn't made my list, although some of them have now popped up since we've got them bigger. But there are some games that have stood out to me on this list. I haven't played all of the games Amy's picked. She was, however, kind enough to send me a playlist of things to listen to, and I sent her a couple of things to listen to as well. And I'm going to pick one of the ones that she put forward, and that is Legend of Zelda: The Ocarina of Time.
How dare you?
I keep putting those in.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Do you know how many downvotes you just got?
Yeah. Oh, if there isn't at least 5 flame comments in the YouTube comment section of this, I will be surprised. I get that Legend of Zelda is a massive fan favorite. I get that has iconic musical cues, which I have never played a Legend of Zelda game, but can still identify the I've just found something cool one and like the main theme.
I'm just going to pause this for a second. So, just to add some context to my laughter as he said that, when I said Legend of Zelda and we were on the stream, because this was after we'd done the list, because the lists are blind, so neither of us can see them until the list is finished. And I said Legend of Zelda, and what did you hum again? it was a tune from another entry on this list.
Yeah, it was the Final Fantasy. It was a Final Fantasy. Dee 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 was the right one, and now it dee dee. Yeah, that was it. Was the victory tune from Final Fantasy VII. He just looked at me, and I'm like, okay, yeah.
With the fury of 1,000 suns. No, I just kind of was like, what?
The fury of 1,000 geeks. I was glared at until I just did the victory tune to Final Fantasy VII, and I was like, oh yeah. But to my credit, I've heard that one a lot more than I have the Zelda one. And when I said identify that, I mean, I instantly know when someone hums it knows what it is. Because I've seen that, it memed so many times. But the thing is, I listened to the Legend of Zelda soundtrack, and it doesn't sound as good as any of the other ones on this list, which is why it's my first pick. And I'm guessing that you're coming from a nostalgia place on this one. I don't really remember you having a lot of Nintendo consoles when you were younger, but I'm guessing that's why it's on here, because Legend of Zelda is very iconic, and it's got that feel to it which it carries through the season. It's like the Halo cantels. It's something you hear and you recognize it from Zelda. But when it comes to the other great things on this list, I don't think Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, the music I have heard from it, there's about 5-6 songs, I don't think it holds up to the others on this list. So it's not a bad soundtrack. It's just not as good as the
you've said
others.
it now. You hate it. That's all anyone's going to hear. Which one did they try to cut first? Ocarina of Time!
God damn it!
It'll be, and they kept X.
Yeah, I'm going to be pilloried for this one for sure, but I'll take it.
Whatever. All right, here's the deal. You're wrong, of course. But we had a discussion where I was sending you the Zelda soundtrack, and I was like, I don't know if this was the right one to pick, because, the Legend of Zelda's soundtrack's not just iconic, it's enduring, because it's essentially the same key signatures in every game. And that's why I was at the last moment, I was like, should I have said Breath of the Wild?
Yeah.
I didn't play Breath of the Wild a lot.
I mean, if you'd chosen Breath of the Wild, it would have had a more... Because they're that very sort of... the word's not simulated, but the sound when you listen to it, it's very the sort of early 90s music coming out of your.
It's called chiptune, motherfucker. It's a perfectly valid genre of music.
Yeah.
Games still use that to this day. I almost did put one on the list called The Messenger, which has an amazing soundtrack. It's got two, because it's an 8-bit and a 16-bit game. But we're not here to talk about The Messenger. I'm here to basically just shout at you for a couple of minutes for daring to kick up The Legend of Zelda first and then just going, yeah, alright, whatever.
I had that feeling, but you never know. It could have veered at the end there. You
Like,
talk yourself keeping it.
I've got more invested in these other games. Like, you say nostalgia, and I say I have literally had some of the Legend of Zelda tunes stuck in my head for 20 years. If someone knows how to get songs out of people's heads, that would be amazing. Thanks.
Oh, please. Oh, please. There's a song by the Venga Boys. Even though I just hear Venga Boys, or the words, it's just stuck for the next 20 minutes. I've done that to myself now, and I'm hoping that talking about any other soundtrack will get it out of my head.
The Zelda soundtrack is iconic. It's enduring. Was it ever going to make the top 10? Nah. Was I going to acquiesce as soon as I knew for a fact that Keith was going to bring it up? Yeah, probably. But, like, it's not nostalgia. Because here's the thing. I didn't play Ocarina of Time when it first came out. I played Ocarina of Time on that special disc that came. There was, like, 4 Zelda games on the GameCube. And I didn't even play that until I'd finished playing Twilight Princess on the Wii. So, that a long time after. Like, I was an adult when I played Ocarina and Majora's Mask. Whatever else was on there.
Yeah.
Ocarina's not even the best Zelda game. So, now I'm just ensuring damn votes. But I'm right. Like, there's some games on this list of soundtracks where I've put on, like, just to go forward. Well, one game where I've just gone, this isn't the best game in the series. This is probably the worst game in the series, but it's got the best soundtrack. And, like, Legend of Zelda soundtrack is amazing. You're incorrect that in certain aspects, but this is a top 10 list. There's 18 things on there. There's 10 things that I would definitely put ahead of it. So, go ahead. Click the dislike button. I don't care. It's the same as the like button as far as YouTube's concerned. And I'm not really... I could put up a strong and passionate defense, but I need to save my passion. So,
yes.
I'm just going to cross it off the list.
Okay.
Of course, it wouldn't have fit in the final standings column. That should have been everybody's clue that I was going to get that far. But yes, just on the thing of, like, the older, like, electronic music, it's like...
Yeah.
I listen to that shit all the time. I do. I listen to one of the soundtracks on this list, which is basically that. All the time. Anyway, I have to pick something right now. And I'm looking at 3 games. And I need to pick one.
Throwing out all the rules and go for 3 games at once.
Just all at once. Just no, I'm not going to do that. All of them. Here's my real list. Could you imagine? Plot twist. See, because like Keith said, so I'm just going to preface it with my own thing of all of these soundtracks are amazing and none of them are bad. So this is stupid. This whole video series is a stupid idea probably, but whatever.
Yeah.
We're in it now. I'm going to go ahead and say Pyre to cut.
This is the one game on this entire list that you haven't played.
Yeah. I'm just now considering what I do with my life. Out of these 18 games, this one game.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like we chose games that we'd played, and obviously I had to look upon 4 games. One of them, 2 of them, mostly because it's been that long since I'd actually sat down next to you and watched you play through them. Because I have been there while you played them, because that was our childhood.
But yeah, adulthood too.
Yeah, Pyre is a wonderful game. I had a lot of difficulty playing through technical issues, but the soundtrack is amazing. It's Eldritch Basketball. If you've never heard of it. The soundtrack, there's different fights depending on what sort of team you're playing. We've got different sort of themes. Each of them are amazing when you're sitting there in the game, and it has the most amazing acoustic music and songs, and you just hear these sort of like loops and stuff when you're playing. The intro soundtrack is amazing. The outro one is amazing, but contains spoilers. So I didn't send that one to Amy in case she ever plays Pyre. But there's some amazing orchestral music. Somewhat church-like. And I really think anyone should just listen to the soundtrack's amazing. Go play the game. Seriously, just go play the game, Amy. The one game you did play, you go play it. It's Eldritch Basketball, but it's amazing.
Make it a trade. And we'll get to that later, I imagine.
Yeah. But I'm going to let you cut it because I am saving my fire for other games.
Yes. I did it without even making an argument. Yes. I'm the best at this game. I didn't even have. I just said Pyre and laughed. And then you just took it away. Oh, you can cut it. Maybe I'm a god.
No. There's at least one of us track of a soundtrack where I was like, yeah, I'm gonna cut that one as well, and then we go into the hilt. We're gonna be facing off like some Japanese samurai duel, and it's just gonna go on for ages.
I just identified the 3 Supergiant games and was like, Pyre is the weakest soundtrack of the 3 for me personally.
Because you want to listen to free tracks.
I've listened to it. Supergiant game soundtracks are those weird things where you can listen to them.
Yeah, they're all amazing. They're all made by the same person. I look forward to listening to Hades when it actually finishes, so I can come on play it and listen to it. But yes.
Your turn.
So, my turn. 8. All right then. So I've already cut that one. This we may experience some sudden and epic amount of that's going to come in there. We're going to go for another game I haven't played. And I know that Amy believes that this game was robbed when it comes to Game of the Year. Not very long ago. Nier Automata. I listened to the soundtracks you sent me, and they're very good. But I'm looking at this list, and none of it caught me as much as none of those songs caught me much as many other games, and that's probably because I haven't played it. I haven't run around the desert in a very short skirt with a giant oversized weapon.
That's probably not true.
I have seen many trailers for this game, but I've never seen actual people playing it. So all I've got is the trailer music in my head. It's I seem to run through the desert in a black. The character runs through the desert in black high heels, small cocktail dress on with a giant weapon.
Accurate. Well,
yeah, one of them. I know much about the game's mechanic of you playing through with different people, but I'm sure if I played the game, the music would have caught hold of me more. But what I listened to for this podcast, it didn't catch me as much as some of the other games on this list. And I'm looking at so many games that should make it to the top 10. I'm picking the ones that I don't feel as passionate about, and Nier Automata is one of them.
Interesting argument. It wasn't robbed. It came out in the same year as Persona 5.
Yeah.
It wasn't robbed for anything, unfortunately. It's a great game. It was my number 2 game of the year, right behind Persona 5. As far as it just had the unfortunate. I looked up at my monitor that's above me, and it's a Persona 5 desktop, and I was like, yeah. I mean, as far as cutting it from this list of top 10 video game original soundtracks, I feel like the most powerful argument I could possibly make for it keeping its inclusion is Over My Dead Body. If you want to cut this from the top 10 list, you're going to have to come over here and you're going to have to kill me. just stab me in the heart while you're at it. Here, take this.
That would be how I killed you.
That'd be how you try. Do you need me to go on? I fucking love this soundtrack. It's amazing. Like whether you're playing through it or not. Like
Yeah.
it,
I could send. I knew that there was going to be some blowback straight away there.
it's an amazing soundtrack. Like I've watched it performed live by the two vocalists who do the OST. Like,
Yeah.
and while I love listening to music, obviously, like I rarely watch it like as a live performance. Yeah, like some of the tracks are incredible. Even just the weird like the normal background tracks when you're just wandering around the city or the desert or the other places back to the city after it's been. Actually, that's a spoiler. Yeah. The thing is, right, I'm a video game critic, not a music critic. My vocabulary of talking about like music is basically just Mr. Burns in that one episode of The Simpsons where Marge paints him naked and he's like, I don't know anything about art, but I know what I hate, and I don't hate this. That's kind of me, where I'm like, I know what I like.
Yeah.
And if you try with not many, there aren't many where I would offer to let you kill me to remove it from the list.
Well, I feel we're coming back to this one then.
I feel like we just play Minesweeper and you just hit the mine. Like your second click.
Yeah, it's like, oh wait, I got that one. Like, you hit Pyre, and it's like, oh, that revealed half the board, and I clicked next, and I hit the mine.
It's up to you though.
We'll come back to it, I'm sure.
Will we? Oh, will we? If I can get Ash into the fucking top 5 Overwatch characters list without even trying to. I just didn't want it to go before Sombra. The next thing you know, she's on the list. Shit. Keith, this is really hard.
Yeah.
And that's why this became our top 16 video game soundtracks in the moment.
Heat of the moment.
I can't, in good conscience, cut a game that made me cry from its music, even if it was just that one song. So no, that's not happening. Keith,
Yeah.
I am gonna cut one of my own games
Okay.
because I feel like I'm in check already. So this isn't gonna be a short video, but I want to cut Resident Evil 2 1998 edition. Yeah, it's on this list much for the same reasons that Zelda was, because the music is iconic. But I didn't realize it was iconic until I was watching the average Jotaku stream the new Resident Evil 2, and they had the DLC, which gave you the original soundtrack. And when you just think like, if you think back and you're like, oh, I remember like one song from this game, and then you realize, no, actually, I remember the whole soundtrack. The whole soundtrack is fucking great. But great, it's great. Is it amazing? No. Is it more amazing than some of these games? No. Am I gonna need to save my capital to fight for other games that I believe are more worthy of being in the top 10? Absolutely, I am. So, Resident Evil 2 soundtrack from 1998 is incredible. The save room music, just the general exploration music. The only one I didn't like was the library theme with all the high pitched pianos and shit. And then the weird, like, you get to the end boss and it weirdly goes into this huge, epic, sweeping, operatic track. And I think when I was first playing it, I was like, the fuck? This is nothing like the rest of the game, but I'll dig it. So I'm gonna cut that. That's mine. I mean, you can rebut if you want, but I don't think you do.
No, not really.
I
As
know
I've
the only
said,
two games that we crossed over on this list. That wasn't
yeah,
one of them.
yeah. It's like I wouldn't be able to tell you any of the music from Resident Evil 2 without going back and listening to it like I did. Because obviously I watched you play Resident Evil.
I'm gonna
Two.
just randomly speedrun it that one day.
Um, was that free?
No, that was two.
Yeah. But yeah, so I've heard it, but it didn't leave a very lasting impression. So
Because
yeah, I'm totally happy with you to cut Resident Evil 2.
I just did. I
Yeah,
already did it. It's your
I
turn.
already did. So I'll take one last salvo on Amy's list before I have to consider my own list again.
It's alright, I'm armed.
So I was kind of surprised when you said Silent Hill 2. I thought you were going to go with Silent Hill 3, which is why when you did send me a copy of your list, I did check to see if I was thinking of the right game. Um, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's good music.
Fucking right, it's good music.
Yeah. Again, I never really like played Silent Hill 2, so I don't know what's like playing the game and listening to the music. Um, like I did with Pyre or any of the other games on this list.
I mean,
Um,
that's only really useful for the atmospheric tracks.
yeah. It does have atmospheric tracks because Silent Hill is a very atmospheric game, and that atmosphere is, oh my god, I'm going to be murdered in the shower. What is
I'm gonna
what is
be
the walk
murdered.
down this corridor? Murdered by this guy coming out this toilet cubicle. Anyway, um, it's good. It's a good soundtrack, no doubt about that. Is it above average? It's well above average.
How
It's
dare
well,
you label it as good?
yeah, it's well above average in 2019. Back then, that's way up there. That was like possibly like soundtrack of the year. I can't remember what year it came out. But looking at the other like other games on here, some of the soundtracks on there just blow it apart in comparison.
Okay. I don't know if I would have gone that far. Just
Yeah,
dismantle my childhood while you're at it. I think I need to get more vicious.
yeah.
Hang on, I need some gloves. Continue talking.
Just take them off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's a game that I'm looking at, and it's like I don't have as much emotional connection with it, and that's what music is to me. Really, it makes you feel, and it gives you like a connection with what you're doing at the time. There's several games on this list where I'm walking to work and back, listening to it.
See,
Um,
I get that, but I don't
right.
know. I also kind of think like, yeah, sure, I listen to game soundtracks
Yeah,
all the time out in the world. Some of these, I believe, are some of the best game soundtracks I've ever heard in my entire, obviously, but I don't listen to
yeah.
them out in the wild.
Right in this list.
Like
Yeah,
the game that I'm gonna go after next. There's only one track I really listen to on my
yeah,
mega playlist. The whole thing's good, but not out of the context of the game. You see these?
yeah.
You see these? They're off.
I don't think those gloves fit you, but yes, I see the gloves are
They
on.
do. I just couldn't be asked putting them on properly.
Question is, are you shooting that Silent Hill 2 should be off the list?
Hell yeah! I just cut Resident Evil 2 to keep to keep Silent Hill 2 because it's amazing. The soundtrack for Silent Hill 3 is amazing. I went backwards and forwards on which one to include in the list, and then I was like, Silent Hill 2's theme tune's better. I mean, I know I heard Silent Hill 3 is on a dance machine in an arcade once, which was
Yeah.
very strange.
Yeah.
Um,
Just got green for around, green grass wasn't the wind, darling.
that's the
I'm
one.
not.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, the one with lyrics. To be fair,
Yeah.
though, the best theme tune in Silent Hill history was Silent Hill 4's.
Yeah, I can't.
No, that like I mean, there's the banjo one in Silent Hill from Silent Hill 1, but I wasn't gonna pick that one. No, Silent Hill 4's is called Tender Sugar. It's incredible, like as a song, just in general. And you should definitely look it up and listen to it if you like moody rock with awesome solos because Japan just don't give a fuck when they're scoring their games. Nah, man, Silent Hill 2 soundtrack is 50%. If I was listening to this on a dark road while I was walking anywhere, I would fear for my life.
Yeah.
20%. I think I can hear a rhythm. And 30%, like, oh yeah, and then we just decided we were just gonna bust out and do this awesome rock and roll like music. And I'm here for all of that. Like, there's a track in Silent Hill 2 which basically just sounds like Akira Yamaoka just lined up some bins, like, you know, those stereotypical metal bins, and just started fucking hammering on them with like, and you just like, but there's a rhythm to it because like much of Silent Hill, there's a method to the madness, and it is mad.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are some better soundtracks on this list. I won't deny that. I'm not sure any of the ones left on this list obliterate it. Even the ones I would consider for, like, you know, the top 5. I don't think anything on this list gets obliterated by anything else. But I mean, as far as emotional connection goes, like, you know, I mean, yeah. Silent Hill 2 is that weird thing where you don't really have an emotional connection with the game because you hate all of the characters.
Yeah, it's kind of Stockholm syndrome. It hurts you till you love it.
No, well, I mean,
I remember what happened the first time you heard the air raid siren from the chemical plant down the road.
That was after I played the first one. It's not, that's Stockholm syndrome. The story is incredible. The characters aren't like unlikable because they're badly written or anything. They're incredibly well written. You're not supposed to like them. If you did like them, that would be like someone like saying like, "Oh, I love Breaking Bad," like, and I really identify with Walter White. If anyone says that to you, run as far away from them as fast as possible. Like, and that's the same with like James, the protagonist of Silent Hill 2. So there's no emotional connection there, apart from you disgust me. But it is still one of the best games ever made. Is it one of the best soundtracks of all time? No. Do I want to cut it? No, not yet. Maybe by the time we get further down into the final 10. Am I going to have to cut it at some point? Yeah, probably. I'm making a principled stand on the fact that I'm not cutting the 2 horror games back to back.
Oh, Lord.
That's up to you, though.
Yeah, it's like, am I going to cut it? Yeah.
Am I going to cut it right now?
No. I'm like...
But that's up to you. You get the final say in that. In this. That's how it works.
Yeah, right. Okay. So to save us both some time and to make sure I get the work time tomorrow morning, how about we imagine we've cut the next game in between this game and the last game?
You know how you can just really go off someone?
Yeah. Yeah.
How motherfucking dare you? Anyway, it's my turn, right?
Yeah.
Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. You know what? Soundtrack's pretty good. Pretty good. But...
So you're going to go for another horror game?
But... You forced me into this. I realized I needed to get vicious, and I'm getting vicious. I'm not really. We love each other. We're not taking this seriously at all. The problem is, I know, I can see that, don't worry. I think the thing with friendly debates is we end up playing into these personas, like hyper, caricatures of ourselves. I mean, I did once declare on a video like this, Left 4 Dead was the greatest co-op experience of all time.
Yes.
Just to try and move it one place up the list. Which wasn't even at the number 1 spot. No, Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice's soundtrack is pretty good. But when I think of Hellblade, and I think of audio, and I'm not thinking of the music. I don't even remember what any of the music sounds like, if I'm going to be honest. I'm pretty sure there was some, like, Viking-ish keys to it. I might be completely wrong. All I remember is, like, everybody kept whispering in my ear, and I wanted them to shut up. And I remember being hollowed out and broken by the time I was finished the game. You know, between this and Silent Hill, I'm starting to really seriously reflect on the kinds of things I love.
Yeah,
But
I figured this out by the time we got into our second year in college.
that's beside the point right now. Like,
Yeah. Um. So let me stop you on your train for Hellblade anyway. Right.
hate train.
One of the two soundtracks that I listened to on the way back and forth to work. There's some Viking-ish notes to it. Yeah, there really is some Viking-esque notes to this. There is a lot of I don't know, did forget whether it's Norwegian or Danish chanting in some of these songs. When you enter combat in Hellblade, you get one of a couple of themes, and you actually hear a lot of Danish men chanting a war hymn, which is amazing. Um, when you encounter one of the first bosses, and there's a choice in which one you go to, so it might not be the first one, was for me, called Suda, the fire giant one, there is a bit where he does like that whole boss thing of it's like, this isn't even my final form. Boosh. Yeah, God of Fire. You can work out what that was. The music takes the entire fight up 2 to 3 notches with the way the music adds to the tempo. There is these like Germanic singing voices accompanying your battle, which makes the entire game to that point as being very sort of quiet. And like there's whispering.
Quiet. They're literally talking non-stop, breaking my sanity from like moment one, and you want to say the game's quiet? Sorry.
Yeah. As I said, apart from the occasional voice, because the voices start quite low in like background whispering, and then they get worse throughout the game as the psychos.
That's why you should wear headphones when you play it.
I did. So, ignoring the instruments. I'll be mean. I'll go this. Amy told me before I played the game. Well, as I was playing the game, that there was like a specific music bit in when you were fighting on the bridge, which was awesome because we discussed the soundtrack when I started playing it. Obviously, much water has passed under the bridge since then. But yeah, there's an amazing bit of chanting as you're trying to basically break into hell. You go up the bridge to Niflheim, and you're just fighting person after person to get closer to this bridge, and then something happens. Which is amazing, and that's brilliant. But there's also some music bits during like cutscenes where there's music and there's talking, which on the soundtrack is still included in that is amazing. It's called Shadow. And then there's the final boss fight, the final bit of the game. It's the song is by a group called Paralasa Death Squad, and it's called Just Like Sleep, and it is an amazing up to 8 minutes. If you look on the YouTube video on the soundtrack, it's a bit less, but it is the most amazing piece of music I have come across in the game. And if you can remember the final boss fight, you will remember that there's very little talking and stuff in it. It goes on for a while, and there's this awesome music going through the whole. It's very cinematic ending to the game. So, no. Bad Amy.
Bad me. You just told me that Silent Hill 2's soundtrack was trash. How dare you? It's almost like I retaliated by going after something I knew you loved instead of going after something I thought should be cut.
Yeah.
I wasn't lying though. I barely remember the soundtrack.
I did consider linking you. Again, apologies to that band. I can't remember. I think it's called Paralash Death Squad because that end track is amazing. And I would have sent you the copy of the track called Shadow, but I thought it might instigate some sort of PTSD because it's the Shadow voice talking and then an amazing piece of music plays.
I don't know. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I've got a few more.
I heard bits and pieces. I don't know. I mean, I was just making a point of like, you come after the things that I love, I'll come after the things that you love. Except, I'm more benevolent, and I've put a star next to it instead of crossing it out.
So we will return to this
How
one.
does that feel? Did that feel nice? It didn't, did it?
That's false contrition, isn't it? Smack. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Next one's the screwdriver. I don't even know why I have this.
Yeah.
But it's turned out to be quite useful for this video. Anyway, it's your turn.
Yeah. To prevent what happened before, in which we got almost to the end and I was like, there was a game on here I thought you'd like go to cut. I will go for one of my own ones. I'm going to get rid of my actual automated retort, which, or just say it actually. It's like Transistor. Transistor is a wonderful soundtrack by Supergiant Games. I have listened to that soundtrack about 6 times longer than I've actually played the game because I never got all the way through the game, which says a lot about the soundtrack that you'd come back to it. Just to be clear, it has 2 soundtracks: the original soundtrack and the hummed version, which is the woman who voices the main character, basically just humming most of the songs, and it is amazing. It's like you just walked into 1930s Paris, and there's like some woman humming a track while some musicians play in the background while he sips some wine. It's that sort of very, I don't know, jazz club like vibe to it a bit. And it is an amazing soundtrack, and the fact that I keep listening to it, despite never having finished the game or even got to the point where some of these songs come in, I do love it, but I don't love it as much as I love several other things on this list, and I want to get those things up the list and into the actual.
He's finally playing the game now.
Oh, I've been playing this game for a while. I'm 5 steps ahead of you. You don't even know what game we're playing.
His life flashed before his eyes there when I dangled Hellblade in front of him.
So yeah, I'm going to cut Transistor for my own list.
It worked! Yeah, sure, whatever. I mean, personally, of the three Supergiant soundtracks, it's my favourite for its consistency. Bastion has higher highs, for sure.
Yeah.
But Supergiant, Transistor is more even in terms of. I love most of these, apart from the remixes, but we don't talk about remixes. Don't count.
Yeah, I think we can both admit that the person who does Supergiant Games' music, and I will briefly look up what it's called. He's amazing because he's produced so far 4 different soundtracks.
I thought you were going to talk about the vocalist, and I was like, shit, I don't remember her name. But no, Darren Cobb's
Darren Cobb. It's like, okay, it's like, yeah, he's produced like a load of different soundtracks for this like company. I bet they all sound the same.
Nope.
No.
They all sound different.
I haven't played Hate, so I don't know what Hate sounds like. But the other 3 are all completely different genres. As we've just discussed what Transistor sounds like. When it comes to Pyre, I've told you it's like sounds like you got very like strong instrument things and a few bits of singing. It does kind of sound sort of like a little churchy in places, and other times it sounds like back in the Boondocks. But it's amazing. Transistor is amazing. Bastion, which I'm sure we'll get to later, is amazing. But they're all different, and he's an amazingly talented person for being able to do that.
Here's the list that we've got left. I don't even know how many we've got left. Hold on, I'm going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We need 3 more off this list before we can start making a top 10. Here's what's left. I'll read it out. We've still got Bastion, Doom 2016, Final Fantasy VII, God of War 2018, Halo 2, Halo 3, Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, with an asterisk, Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3, Nier Automata, with a completely undeserved asterisk, Ori and the Blind Forest, Persona 5, and The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. And at some point, we're going to have a Halo showdown. It should be interesting.
Yeah. It's like Halo and Mass Effect have both got multiples on there.
You picked 2, and then I picked 2, like one of each, because I knew that was going to happen, especially with Halo. And then we picked different. It was like, God damn it.
Yeah, that happened with like Mass Effect and Halo. Which showed you that sci-fi can.
We both picked the same numbers as well.
yeah, we both went. I went for the second one, you went for the third one.
Yeah, but we're not here to talk about Halo or Mass Effect right now. Instead, what we're here to talk about is one of 2 games, and once I figure out which one, I'm gonna go for.
Time.
I've got a back pocket. I've got one in my back pocket for later if we need to cut one. So I need to make a note somewhere of how many we've got left, because it's like if we end up cutting too many, it's like, oh shit, we've only actually got 7 left. Oops.
If that happens, we're going to 5, gentlemen.
That would be difficult.
Yeah,
Um,
that would be insanely difficult.
Ori and the Blind Forest. I just like kind of mentally threw a dartboard at the whiteboard there at like 3 games, and I was like, Ori and the Blind Forest. The music's amazing.
The music
I feel
is
I feel like I'm gonna stop prefacing me wanting to cut things from this list with the music's amazing, because I feel like it's a given at this point.
yeah, it's like the music's amazing. Duh.
Yeah, but it's very good. It's very good background music. I'll never forget the music that plays when you try and get out of that tree, but that's only through repetition, not necessarily through
The Gensu tree, yeah.
through necessarily like the experience of getting out of the Ginzo tree. Scarred me for life. I think almost literally. But like, is it better than any? And this is the question I'm asking myself: is it better than anything else on this list that I can cut? And right now, and the answer is, yeah, probably. But that's the one I've gone for. There's the one amazing soundtrack that I have on my playlist of game soundtracks. I have like a game soundtrack playlist on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'll be damned if I can remember the name of the track, but
Yeah.
that's incredible. That's the one that made me cry.
I've got a few, it's going to be the one at the very beginning is Ori in the Storm,
I mean,
but it's probably going to be Light of Nibble,
yeah, I think
which is it's at the end. It's like the sacrifice, and then the bit at the end.
but I mean, the bit at the beginning made me cry not because of the music, but because of what was happening on the screen. That bit made me cry watching the fucking reveal trailer at E3. Before I even like played the game or knew anything about it. But
Yeah,
like, yeah, I guess that's what I'm going with.
yeah. It's like you're
Yeah,
going to cut a piece of music which was so beautiful that it made you cry without any context.
the one track, and it was the trailer that made me cry. That there's a package,
Yeah,
not the music, just the music.
I mean, there's like two versions of the soundtrack because there's the main one, and then you get an additional one if you buy the special
See,
edition.
this is what he does. He cheats. He's like, this is the second time I've heard him go, "Oh yeah, this game that I put on the list. There's 2 versions of the soundtrack, so technically I've picked twice."
But no, it's there's a vocalist in this one, and I don't know how to pronounce her first name, but I think it's Aurelie Brighton, and she has the most wonderful, beautiful voice that can make you cry. And when we saw the release trailer for Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and you hear the tune from the first game, and there's just like, that is Ori. I am so happy we're getting another one. That is so. The music is brilliant, and I'm sitting here like, this is one I would die on a hill for. And I'm sitting here, and you're going on, but the only one track. And I brought it up, and I'm like, there is 3 tracks on that album that I listened to. Ori Lost in the Storm, which is the intro credit, the intro video. The Sacrifice and Light of Nibble.
It's almost like this time I wasn't just being a bitch.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is one of the games that I really wanted to see get into the top 5. And I'm like, this is like so much better than so many other games on this list. And I'm looking at the other games on the list, and I'm like, there's 2 games I really want to cut off this list. Actually, there's 4 games I really want to cut off this list. But convincing Amy to cut some of these games off this list is going to be fight. It's going to be like rowing up, like episode where someone was rowing up a waterfall, and I'm like,
It's like pressure points. That's what friendly debate is all about. You've got to find the right pressure points to push.
yeah.
Like, you can't go in for certain things, and sometimes you only find out like you can't do that, and like in the moment. But like, there's games that I would have cut before Ori and the Blind Forest, but they're also pressure points that I don't think I could push right now.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I'm not saying it's bad. Ori and the Blind Forest. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is going to emotionally eviscerate me when it comes out. Ori and the Blind
Yeah.
Forest is one of the few games that I want to replay on stream, like, because it's amazing.
It will destroy on your controllers.
But Dead Cells already did my controller. Remember, it broke the analog stick. Like a bit of the piece of the analog stick rubber is broken because of Dead Cells. Um, yeah, yeah. Anyway, are we? Sorry.
Reluctantly, yes.
Oh, reluctantly. What's that like? Stares at Silent Hill 2 with a cross through it.
So,
I may have played my "You're Gonna Have to Stab Me" to get it off the list card a little early.
yeah.
Actually, to be fair, looking at the game that I did that for, I don't regret it in the slightest.
So, I'm looking at a game. It's one we briefly mentioned earlier. It's Mass Effect 3.
Oh, how dare you! Oh, how dare you!
I'm looking at this, and I can only remember one tune from that entire thing, which is iconic. Do, 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 do.
Mwah!
Yeah, it has been memeified, but not as much as like one robot. Yeah, it's like, was it a good soundtrack? Yeah. Do I remember 99% of it? No.
Is that because of the game though?
I'm putting my dislike for the end of that game on a shelf, and I'm not looking at said shelf while we discuss the soundtrack.
I'm watching
Yeah.
you.
So I'm thinking much about the music of this one, and when I was thinking about the games I was going to put on here, I did actually create a list of all the games I own soundtracks to, and I do own the soundtrack for Mass Effect 3. And I compared it when I was thinking of my list to other games in that franchise than other games, and I don't feel actually beat out Mass Effect 2. Obviously, I'm thinking Amy disagrees with this statement because she chose Mass Effect 3 instead of Mass Effect 2.
Did.
Yeah.
I did.
I'm thinking, much like Amy did with me there, you made me think, go back with how many songs in that soundtrack are amazing. Is it just like one or two songs which are good? And the rest are kind of meh. And I'm thinking, there were a few songs in Mass Effect 2 which were really good. But I can only remember one song at all from Mass Effect 3.
I mean, there's two incredible tracks from Mass Effect 2, and one of them isn't even a track from Mass Effect 2. It's a suite of a bunch of different tracks mashed together called Suicide Mission. So that's not actually a song from the game. And the other one is the first track, The Attack, where it's like Mass Effect 1 music, and then the thing happens. The ship gets blown up. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's not really a spoiler at this point.
No, it was in the trailer. And then Mass Effect 3, like, haven't actually listened to the soundtrack separate from the game, because like when you play the game, there's a lot of disappointment. Not just the ending. I've been over this on many podcasts, because like when I came out and I was like, what the fuck, like, what the fuck was that? Everyone's like, oh, you didn't like the ending. Well, no, but I mean, I also didn't like X, Y, Z, A, B, E, G, and then I'd like explain in like great detail like all the things I didn't like about Mass Effect 3, and then they'd be like, oh, so it's just about the ending, and I'd be like, no. Like, the ending is the natural logical conclusion of whatever the hell that was like 20 hours previously. But you know what was amazing? The soundtrack. And not just that one track. There's like insane, and I don't know the names of any tracks, but I don't like. So when you listen to game soundtracks, right? Mm-hmm. And I do this, and I know you do this. Like, you probably skip a bit, right? Like,
yeah,
any soundtrack, you just like skip. I just want to get to the stuff that I want to listen to.
Yeah,
I do it with most soundtracks. With Mass Effect 3, I don't skip anything. Like, there's definitely like tracks on there that are my favorite one. There's the like That'll Better, the Leaving Earth track, mm-hmm. the meme one. The track from the end where they're giving the big speech right before God knows what they were thinking happens.
Yeah.
The Mars track, the track from the planet whose name I can't remember, Mordin's people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember, Solarians, where you get attacked. basically the entire like last part of the soundtrack, because for all the faults of the last couple of hours of the game, the music tries to sell you on it.
Yeah.
And also because again, like my vocabulary for Chris, like telling you why I love music other than I just love it is limited. What I will say is Keith didn't let Garrus win the shoot off in the Citadel, and that killed me a little bit inside. That's got nothing to do with this argument. I just wanted to throw it out there for anyone watching the video.
I'll put the gameplay to one side. Amy, here's a spiel about all the gameplay.
Well, the gameplay and soundtrack in the best games is usually linked, like your memories of the game to the memories of the soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't tell you for the fucking life of me what some of the tracks were, but I just named where they come up in the game. Because I remember. Even when what has it been? 7 years since the game came out? Actually, I only played it once. I didn't play it after, I haven't played it since. I know I've got a promise on YouTube, on Twitch to do the whole trilogy, and I will at some point, but as far as Mass Effect 2 goes, like, it depends what you like, in terms of, I guess, because like Mass Effect 2's is more atmospheric, whereas Mass Effect 3's soundtrack is more direct. And I just prefer the more direct approach. Plus, memes.
Memes do not make a good soundtrack.
No, they don't. But I'd like to think that that I have proven that that's not my only argument.
Yeah.
If it was memes, this list would be hella different.
Yeah. Yeah, Deus Ex would be on here for one spot.
It would be like, why have you put Nintendo Wii 10-hour mix on the list? Memes.
You're a meme machine, Amy.
I deal in weaponized memes. So I guess my counterpoint to that would be Mass Effect 2 instead. But then I think because we've got two games where there's like two different entries in the same series, I feel like once you get to one, it is a case of one or the other. I don't know if both. I don't know if both are going to get on the list.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to you like, it's like this part isn't actually in the game proper. It's like this, like that.
Suicide Mission. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
it's amazing,
like,
but it's not actually.
It is amazing. I don't know if it's from the part of the trailer.
It's not. It's the last 4 tracks. So you know how like in the soundtrack, and I know we're going deep into the weeds here, but we've both got the soundtrack, and it's like the 4 tracks before it.
Yeah,
they're the tracks. It might be 5. They're the tracks from basically when the Normandy goes through the jump thing to the end of the game, and the Suicide Mission track that happens after is a suite of those tracks in one song.
And it is amazing.
It is incredible. Fucking yeah. I mean, Suicide Mission is one of the best sections of a video game. Period.
Yeah. I mean, I'm perfectly happy cutting both of them off out of the top 10.
We have like something. I'm not. Am I? Am I?
I mean, if we do that, that does mean the one you'd like die on a hill doesn't get brought up again.
Yeah, but there's another one. I had the one I have in my back pocket. Because God of War soundtrack is amazing. Don't get me wrong. And it's one of the best games of this generation. And you know how you were telling me I have to play Pyre? I'll play Pyre when you play God of War.
Right, at the moment on Twitch, while this is being on Twitter, there is an argument between all of the, well, not an argument, but a discussion thread between all of the heads of Penny Arcade about why everyone's to play God of War at the moment. So I know you're not the only person harping on at me.
Like,
because I follow all 5 of them.
When we sit down in like 2 years to do the list of best PS4 games and best games of the generation, like, you'll have to stab me to get God of War anywhere other than number one on that list.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not. Like, I don't know how intense I'm going to be going forward. Like, right now, I'm having fun playing this character. But God of War's soundtrack isn't a top 10 of all time. The game might be, as a whole.
So,
I would rather Mass Effect 3 was on the top 10 than God of War. The soundtrack.
right. Yeah, I was
Nobody
gonna say,
clip that and take it out of context. The game
because
is
I'm
not
pretty
great.
sure we've covered before that Mass Effect 2 is the best of the Mass Effect trilogy.
Easily.
Yeah.
I don't even know what they were thinking when they didn't basically carry that on for Mass. Like, yeah, whatever. That's a whole other podcast that we've done once before.
Yeah, that is no podcast. But yeah, so I take Mass Effect 2 off mine and you take God of War off. I suppose that does like prevent me from going again. Yeah, I've not actually played this game, so I've only heard these few tracks that you say are the best on there.
Yeah, but like, I feel like God of War is one of those games that you haven't played where it's like, I feel like you should. Like, I mean, you know me, I played like 100 games a year.
Mm-hmm.
I only ever recommend like a dozen to you. One of them wasn't Neo, but you went ahead and got that anyway.
You talked it up so much without realizing that I could be getting a PS4 that it was kind of like, oh,
it was one of those things where you had a choice of games, and one of those choices was Horizon Zero Dawn. So I was just like, he's gonna get Horizon Zero Dawn. Of course he is.
I did. I didn't play that much of it.
But you got Neo, and then you were like, I don't like this, and I was like, yeah, I know. Like, I knew it wouldn't be for you, right? I just knew that. Anyway. We've got 10 games to make a top 10 with. Now things get interesting. So here's the games that we've got left. It was actually quite a successful cutting round because we haven't really talked about many of them. The games that we've got left: Bastion, Doom 2016, Final Fantasy VII, Halo 2, Halo 3, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, Mass Effect 3, Nier Automata, Persona 5, and The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt. So what happens now is we change tacks a little bit. So instead of taking turns trying to decide what we're going to cut, now we have to order everything into a top 10. So we're going to start at the bottom, work our way up, and the turn thing is off. So now we look at the number, we look at what's left, anyone can make a pitch. Now, if the other person disagrees with that pitch, they can't just say they disagree with it. They have to offer up an alternative. Because otherwise we could just get stuck spinning our wheels for ages, right?
Yeah.
So you offer an alternative, and then we figure out which one of those two actually goes into the space. And what that usually means is that whatever didn't goes the one above it. Unless someone makes a megaton player like offers up Hellblade to get cut just to make a point. You did it to me. When we were stuck on games consoles and you went, I'm going to cut the PlayStation. And I was like, you fucking what? Yeah, so I learned my tactics from you. Anyway, we need to make a top 10.
Student has become the master.
We need to make a top 10. And after I just made that whole thing of like, oh, but like the two games where we've got two different entries from the same franchise, they're both not going to make the list. There's two Halo games right there.
Yeah, there is. And I think we can both agree that they're both awesome.
They are. There's only one thing that tips it for me between the two of them, and when you hear it, you might laugh. But
I don't. Are we going to hear it right now, or is it later?
Absolutely not. No. Keith, of all the games that are on there, I want to make a player for 10. You're probably going to count a player. I don't know. I don't know you. I actually know you very well, but I want to say The Witcher 3 for number 10 because as we put this list together, and I was thinking about the soundtrack, which is again amazing. I'm going to say that about everything going forward. Even Hellblade, I was just taking the piss before. I actually don't remember much of the music, but I know it's better than
because the audio is so meshed in together that it's kind of hard sometimes to realize what's just stuff going on around you. Like the chanting, it's like, oh, is that the people chanting as I'm fighting them across this bridge, or is that the soundtrack? It turned out that was the music soundtrack, not the game soundtrack.
But with Witcher 3, what happens is, as I was considering Witcher 3. And it's got some amazing moments. It's got some amazing musical moments. So good. But, one, I heard the battle theme far too much. Like, because it's a very long game. But I realized that most of my thoughts with, like, how amazing the soundtrack is are... And bearing in mind, I've got, like, 4 or 5 Witcher 3 tracks on my game playlist, is... Most of it was the trailer music.
It's like there are a few tracks on there, and I could probably take a guess at them. It's like Silver for Monsters, which is a track, Steel for Humans, which is a track, which are like the two main combat tracks. The Hunt is Coming.
I mean,
which is amazing.
There's that whole sequence in the game.
Yeah.
Which I'm guessing the track is from.
Yeah.
Fuck me, it's so good.
Yeah, that's like, and like some of it plays into like some of the tracks have got bits of the Hunt is Coming, like when you're like dealing with like the wild hunt as it builds up. But yeah, you do hear certain tracks over and over again because it's like they have 2 tracks where you're fighting, one where you're fighting monsters, one where you're fighting
and it's like
humans, and that happens
for like 60 hours.
A lot. Yeah, it's a long game. I have heard that the expansion soundtrack is even better, but I haven't played that or heard that. And that's not what we're discussing here. This is one of the 3 games where I came in after we'd upped it from 7 when we cut down to 5 to 10, because this didn't make my original cut, so I'm perfectly happy with just getting it to 10. It's beautiful music, but it's not a game...
Oh, and kudos to the vocalists as well.
Yeah, not as much kudos as like the one who does Ori, but it's still really up there. Because it's a beautiful soundtrack.
Anyway, that was number 10.
Yeah. Right then.
And then it becomes infinitely more challenging.
So I would like to make a pitch for 9.
That's what you think it is. I've lost my screwdriver, but I'm happy with it. That's right, I've escalated.
It's not that markup pen fight thing, are we, from Dilbert? Yeah. I would like to stick Mass Effect in at 9.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Mass Effect 3. All the 3s. Not all the 3s.
No, because there is no 3, unless you want to put Halo 3.
Definitely not.
No problem. I'm fine with that.
Not that. Doom. Number 8.
Doom.
Would be my pitch for number 8. Doom's soundtrack is incredible, but I do only like if every moment in the game, like the soundtrack powers what's happening or what you're doing, and there's some tracks in that game that are insanely good. Like, I can't even overstate some of the tracks in this. Like BFG Division.
Yeah, which you don't. I was like, because I'd heard the soundtrack before I'd played the game. Because I hadn't played games a while after they come out, and the first time you hear it isn't in BFG Division, but that's what it's called, and I think it plays on a bridge there. But you hear it earlier in the game because it's just a visual sort of like blood pumping track. But yeah, there's like a couple of tracks. This is the other album which is on my iPod to work to. This is the I need to really wake myself up in the morning thing.
I need to get where I'm going as fast as possible.
Like, put BFG Division on. No one takes me 50 minutes to get to work. Wait, what? Suddenly I'm at work. Yeah.
My name is Barry Allen. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I'm like, there's like on the original soundtrack, there's a few tracks I listen to. That's like, wait, no, the first one I always listen to. It's like there's a few things where it's the it's basically the terminals where you hear the demon talking, giving you the past of what's happening to this. And it's like if you take those talky bits out from the album, there is only like 2, maybe 3 tracks that I listen to. Rip and Tear, which is like one of the combat music is really powerful. BFG Division, and then I'm constantly forgetting which is like I think it's called Mastermind or something, where it's like you get the choir.
You've automatically, yeah, that's a good one. But you've automatically gone down in my estimation because Hellwalker is clearly the best track in the Doom soundtrack.
Which one?
Hellwalker.
Hellwater. Yeah, that is another one. Um,
But it's again, we're not into degrees of this is bad, this is good. We're into degrees of this is amazing, this is slightly more amazing. And yeah,
so.
despite me saying we're not going to take it in turns, we've kind of been taking it in
Well, trying to
turns.
tell you, do you have any more pictures? Because I'm looking at this list. Like,
Well, yeah, but I don't know how it's going to turn out because the difference is so slight between the two for me personally.
mm-hmm.
And the thing is, right, which I'm talking about Halo 2 and Halo 3.
Yeah.
Um, Halo 3 has the best version of the Halo theme.
The Cantrells, yeah.
Halo
I
2 has the most annoying. Is Halo 2 the one where they added the electric guitar?
you cut out there for sorry.
Is Halo 2 the one where they added the electric guitar for no reason to
The
the
electric
theme?
guitar is in the Cantrells.
Because it's in the third one as well, but they also have the piano in the third one.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, this is much better.
See, let's have a quick discussion about Halo 2.
And the other thing that I don't like about Halo 2's soundtrack doesn't really count because it's the Incubus tracks. Like, what the fuck that was. But
Yeah, it's like you can listen to it. It's like if you listen to the remastered one, you've got to go to the remastered to hear that. Because if you look at the newer version of it, it's a different piece of music which plays. I don't know why, probably licensed them. But Halo 2 is really weird soundtrack because, as you've mentioned, you've got the motion mix of the Halo Cantaros where it's like, as Jane Douglas from Outside Xbox called it, it sounds like there's an electric guitarist on a hill in the distance, and as the music starts, he just starts running at you, playing an electric guitar, just charging at you.
it's like
That's what it sounds like.
it's a product of its time, and I get where it came from. But it was as someone who like the OG theme, and then that was what they did with it for Halo 2, and I was like, why? And then Halo 3 was like, here's pianos, and I was like, oh shit.
Stop. Rewind. I ain't finished talking about Halo 2.
I just wanted that to add that.
Yeah.
In there.
So you've got this electric sort of guitar mix. Then, like the next thing in the album's the Incubus track, where like you blow you away, and then you go.
That was the Breaking Benjamin track. The Incubus track was that weird first movement of the thing, and then the second movement of the thing.
There is. This is what I was going to touch on. There are various tracks because you've got all this like rock and stuff, and then you have these. There's the 4 movements tracks as well, and you've got this like, so here we are in Africa and stuff. It starts playing jazz music as you're going through, and it's like it's the only album I can pretty much think of where you go from like you've got the cantrells, you've got the like choric sort of like monk music, then you've got electric music, like rock music, and then you go to like freeform jazz, and then there is a piece called the 4th movement of the Odyssey, which is near the end of the game, where it mashes together like 5 or 6 different forms of music. It starts as sort of like freeform jazz / African influences, and then moves into sort of like modern rock, and then into like more like progressive rock. And it just does so in this like flowing, moving sort of like freeform style. But it's all really cool and it makes sense, and it's really energetic, and sort of like it's because as you're like moving through to like the Covenant at the end of the game, it's like, oh, here we go, this is we're winning this one, and it's amazing, and it's always stuck with me. And this is what beat out the other Halo games, what we Halo 2 on, is not so much like the content of the other albums and stuff, but the fact that they managed to make all these different like disparate forms of music into one album, into one soundtrack for a game, and it all not only makes sense when you're playing through it, makes sense when you're listening to it, but makes sense afterwards when you're listening like to it, just on a computer or something, it still makes sense and it's really cool. But yes, Halo 3 is also very cool, Amy. I have listened to some of the like music and stuff as like mood music before, for instance. The Flood stuff is amazing and also spooky as hell. It's music I don't know, maybe you would want to listen to it while walking through the fog on the way home.
I don't listen to that kind of music when I'm walking. What do you think I do in my free time? Yeah, that's true. It comes down to the fact that Halo 2's music didn't make me feel much. And then Halo, apart from adrenaline and irritation, because again, I feel like they butchered the theme. But not butchered it, but like not butchered it in the way of it's trash, just butchered it in the way of you took something that was so pure.
Yeah.
and you made it worse. But and then Halo 3's entire soundtrack made me feel things. But yeah, Halo 3's theme was just the best one.
Yeah.
Piano intro, and then it just slowly comes in as the drums beat, and then you don't get the chance until like halfway through. But at that point, it's like because the theme is essentially the bit at the end where you're driving away from the thing. It's like a redux of Halo 1.
Yeah,
and it works as a theme tune too.
Yeah, it does. So Halo 3 is number 6, Halo 2 is number 7.
I don't know. I don't know if I want the Halo games squished together like that. Is there anything you would put in between the two Halo games?
I think we've kind of agreed as Halo 2 is 7 at this point. This maybe this is going to be an unpopular thing, but I'll probably put Nia.
So Halo 3 at number 6, yeah.
Okay. I didn't actually think that was going to happen.
I mean, I love the Halo soundtrack, but not that much. Okay, so what we've got left on the list is Bastion, Final Fantasy VII, Hellblade, Nier Automata, and Persona 5. I've changed my mind. Yes, I will put Nier at number 6. Why did I put Cuphead on this list? It's just dawned on me that I didn't put Cuphead on.
No problem.
I'm substituting one of my picks. I'm just kidding.
No! That would be the dirtiest way to get something onto the list.
I mean, Cuphead would definitely... Probably. Maybe make it on the top 10. Wait, so I need to cross out that as well. Hellblade's got to go at number 4 then.
So, are we having Halo 3's 5?
Yeah.
Right.
Hellblade's got to be at number 4, right? Because we haven't even touched the other 3 games. And I'll be honest, one of those games wasn't even on my list, but if you try to put it below Hellblade, I'll fight you. Never mind the other 2 that were on my list.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, I'm thinking the Final Fantasy VII here.
I will fucking kill you. Like, outright. That's where we're at. You just said Final Fantasy VII, and I will fucking cut you.
Hear me out.
No.
I'm thinking in my head about the Final Fantasy music. And mostly what I'm thinking of is like, wait, no, that's the redone version, not the original version.
Right, again, but I want to say something, but it comes off as really bitchy. It's like, but not all of us are snobs towards chiptune. Some of us like that kind of music. Anyway, continue.
That's a valid point, you know.
Continue.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the original version, and personally, yeah, I'm not as up on the chiptune. I do listen to the redone versions of many of the themes, mostly from Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. But I have heard other versions, like is it the Black Mages Choir or Black Mages Choir, who did the live rendition of Final Fantasy music, Final Fantasy 7 music, which was amazing.
You can't make the argument that music is about emotions and not expect me to stick my heel directly into the ground if you try to move Final Fantasy 7 right now. Because I'm looking at 4 games. One of them did make me feel things. One of them scared the absolute shit out of me. One of them was awesome. And then Final Fantasy 7 destroyed me as a person. Like, in a good way. Like, emotionally destroyed me as a person. It was the music is a huge part of that. There's this track I can't listen to because I'll just start crying. And that I played this game 22 years ago.
Yeah, I think to discuss something that just happens, like the trailers is like, oh yeah, well, they're changing Ares' face now because it didn't do well in Japan. But
whatever. I'm not emotionally invested. We might do a video about this. I'm not that invested in the remake, but for many reasons. But like, as far as like the original game goes, like, we did a 7 Fave Games podcast like a year or 2 ago, and I'm pretty sure Final Fantasy 7 was the number 1 for me. Because I know we did one for each of us. But like, nah, mate.
That's definitely not going in number 4 then.
I don't know how much further up it's gonna go, but like, Final Fantasy VII soundtrack for me personally versus a soundtrack I can barely remember. Like, from a game that admittedly was like, I think it was in my top 5 games of the year of 2017. So it's not like I don't love the game.
Yeah.
But that's just me personally. Like, I don't want to step on you because you might have that emotional depth of emotional connection to Hellblade, like Hellblade's music that I do to Final Fantasy VII's.
Yeah. So you really don't want this game to go to number 4. You want Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice to go in at number 4 instead.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm looking at another game on the list and thinking I wouldn't mind if that went to number 4. Because of its consistency. Are you okay?
Yeah, it was just my ankle clicking.
Oh, you're fine then.
Yeah.
You don't need ankles. Ankles aren't important.
Yes,
because
I don't need to stand for this podcast.
Some of the music in the soundtrack of Bastion is amazing.
Yeah.
And some of it is instant skip. And I'm looking at the consistency of that.
I would be willing to sacrifice Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice to keep Bastion in for another round.
Okay. You seem to have accidentally nominated a winner. The one game we haven't talked about. It's a weird format because you start with like this list of games and then like you can clearly see the ones that are the best, and then it's like you don't talk about them for like an hour before you get to certain things. Uh-oh.
Yeah, there are 3 games left. One of them's definitely mine, one of them's definitely yours, and then there's a third one we haven't talked about.
There's the other one, which was definitely both of ours. Of course it was. I wasn't going to skip it. But I don't know if I like it as much as Final Fantasy VII. The problem is I'm trying to mash 3 soundtracks together in my head right now. And like, if I was
while you're thinking about this, I'll just have a bit about the game we haven't talked about yet. Persona 5, which has, well, it was our game of the year for that year.
We finally agreed on something.
It was well worth me spending the money for the PlayStation because that's the only game I've played to completion. I haven't even turned it on this year. I got so much out of that game, and the soundtrack is amazing. Every track in that game fits the location that you're playing with, that you're in. It is the Be Right Back in stream starting music on Amy's Twitch stream. Although she did have to explain what on earth the woman in it was singing, because I could never figure it out in the game because of the pronunciation of shapeshifter.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit off, but it doesn't make the music
Just
sort of. It's again,
accented, but it's still
it,
amazing music.
it's sort of that like jazz club sort of music. And there's like great. The music is beautiful and enticing. The thing is, there's a couple of tracks that I remember which are awesome, like Rivers in the Desert, Shapeshifter. Um, and there's like the fight music when he's like fighting boss. It is brilliant. And I'm staring at it, and I'm staring at Final Fantasy VII, and I'm staring at Bastion, and I'm thinking, Persona 5 can't be the best soundtrack in the world. And I'm looking at it, and it's like, well, I don't think Final Fantasy VII is the best soundtrack in the world.
Cards on the table, I do.
Yeah. It's like, I'm looking at Bastion, and it's like,
absolutely not. Just in terms of its consistency.
Yeah. Bastion is an amazing soundtrack. We've covered this like before.
Great.
The guy is a genius.
Darren Korb gets all the hearts.
Yeah,
he's his entire discography was on this list.
Yeah,
so that should say something.
Because there is something which is amazing in Bastion, which I always like. There is two different characters who have songs. They're not the protagonist, and they have individual songs. And then at the end of the soundtrack, it merges wonderfully. I can't remember who it is that like sings the male and female track, but they interplay with each other in such a wonderful, beautiful way that it's. I think it's called "Coming Home." It's like the final one. Home. Set and Sail Coming Home. Yeah, it's just amazing. Unfortunately, they're not actually mentioned like who sings it, but "Build the Wall," "Mother I'm Here." And then it combines into Setting Sail Coming Home, which is the end music of that game, which is amazing and beautiful. And damn you if you don't like get stabbed right in the feels when you're playing that game and that music comes at you. And it's just like I was not expecting this from this game.
I just streamed it again for a reason.
Yeah, it is an amazing game that everybody should play. It's simple, it's beautiful, and it's brilliant, as is the soundtrack. But yeah, it's like there is those three songs, with which is two songs which become another song. And then there's a couple of nicest tunes, and I am thinking it's like, yeah, that probably is going to be third.
Cool. Again, though.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's third out of everything. Yeah. This isn't best OSTs of the last 10 years. This is ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Wait, what? Yeah. I mean, I've recently just started following
Darren.
Yeah, it popped up. Yeah.
Mick Gordon's the one I fangirl over. He's done the soundtrack for Rage 2, which I haven't started playing yet, but now I'm more interested in playing the game because I know he's done the soundtrack for it.
Yeah.
But he hasn't got a game in the top 2.
Yeah.
He's got a game in the top 10.
Did he do one of the Halos? Was it Halo?
No, Mick Gordon. No.
Yeah. Oh, no. I remember who Mick Gordon is now. No, there's a person with a similar name who I think did...
Best performance live at the Game Awards ever of all time.
Indeed.
And I don't know about you, but I'm just stalling.
So, you're going to make me say it, aren't you?
I mean...
I've said it once. I don't think Final Fantasy VII is the best soundtrack ever. I didn't think Persona 5 was going to be top 5.
Really?
No, wow. I knew it was going to be top 10 because it's an amazing and consistently amazing thing. And it's not. It's possibly because it's not. It's really good music. It's like everything about Persona 5 was a star or better, which is what made it so it's an amazing game. it's not a soundtrack that I own, and I don't listen to it a lot.
Wow.
But every time I think, mostly because when it first came out, I was like, wait, it's 50 odd quid. Why is it 50 odd quid? And then I realized that it went on for like a day and a half because there was that many tracks to it. It is
It is
it's
on
on
for
a
hours,
very
though.
long day. It's about to get longer with the Royal Edition, with more music in it. Because it's got like 30 extra hours of content. But yeah, but every time I hear it on your like waiting to be back screen, like it's like waiting to start or like be right back screen, I do love it, and it reminds me how much I do love
There's a reason I
that.
picked that, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm looking at these two games, and I do personally think that Persona 5 edges Final Fantasy 7 out
As a game or a soundtrack?
as a soundtrack.
All right.
I wouldn't make the case for a game because they're
Like
different
fucking.
games.
All you would have
And
heard, while we're on the subject of music, all you would have heard is that music from Star Trek where Kirk fights the Gorn. Love Persona 5, but.
yeah, I've played all Persona 5. I haven't played all Final Fantasy 7. I have watched documentaries catching up on the entire thing, and I have watched like Advent Children and stuff, which is what I did. But I've played like the first third and a bit because I got into the second disc. And Final Fantasy 7 does some amazing things, use some adult themes. Some of them,
Just don't.
I'm just like, I don't want to go into like how these like Japanese really deal with like themes and how sometimes they do them really well and sometimes they don't. And I'm like,
No.
especially with the time difference between the two games, I don't need it on this kind of. We're talking about the soundtracks, and yes,
Yes, the whole game is about loss.
One Winged Angel is probably the best track out of both of those albums, especially performed by a massive Japanese choir with full orchestral accompaniment. That was amazing.
Genova Absolute. Genova.
Yeah,
The battle, the boss battle theme.
there are some great Final Fantasy like 7
Cosmo
tracks.
Canyon.
I was never a big fan of Cosmo Canyon. The soundtrack.
It might have something to do with the Redux.
Right.
There's a Redux where in the game where you find out what happens to Red 13's father, and it's like, oh, shit. Does that?
Yeah,
Does that a lot?
moment. I've had that bit. Yeah, I know what you're on about. But yeah, so there are some great music bits in it, but I think Persona 5 just in general is such an amazing soundtrack, and it does it so consistently that it edges out Final Fantasy
I
7.
mean, I'm conflicted because of the title of the topic more than necessarily the quality of the music. Like, let's do this again in a year, and we'll put Final Fantasy 7 at the top, no bother. You know, when the first part of the remake's out. But
Yeah,
probably, yeah. But it's like Persona 5's music is amazing music. Whereas like Final Fantasy VII's music is intrinsically linked to a specific part of the game and like specific like not necessarily memories as much as emotions as well. Like when the game wants you to feel something, you feel it, and part of that is because of the music.
Yeah, it's like in Persona, if you've been playing for a while, you go to like the menu screen or whatever, it instantly gets to that music, and you know you're in the menu screen as much because you listen to the music as what it does. And there's certain areas in the game where you get that musical interlude. I'm desperate. It's been that long since because I didn't own a PlayStation. I played it on the PC, and it's been that long since I've. Yeah, yeah. It's been that long since I've played it, and you're going about like certain emotional cues and stuff, and I can't for the life of me remember what music plays.
Your problem is a lot of the biggest emotional cues are obviously in the third act. It's like different characters are rapping.
I already saw.
I mean, that is a big emotional cue, but there are so many others. Like, most people fixate on the one because it's the big moment. Like, games didn't kill characters. Like, games never permanently kill party members for story reasons, apart from Final Fantasy games. And Final Fantasy VII
which wipes out a few people at the beginning, and you're like, oh, that wipes one in the middle. It's like,
but no, like there's conclusions to characters' storylines, like because again, it's in a game, and again in '97, this just wasn't a thing in video games. Like each party member has stories, Like they have their own developments and their own character arcs and their own stories, and all of these stories have conclusions before the main story is concluded if you do the quests for them. Like some of them
Yeah,
are tied to the main story. There's only two because there's only two optional characters that you could potentially miss. And
yeah. I
to be
mean,
honest, Yuffie's character arc isn't particularly all that emotional.
yeah,
It's very good though.
yeah,
But I'm thinking like
yeah.
Sid's, like
We
Sid,
could do an entire podcast on the material in Final Fantasy VII. Like the fact that the black character in it is a loving, supportive father, which is something that the Hollywood is trying to do really now. It's like,
yeah,
oh yes, black men can be like supportive and loving
Final
fathers.
Fantasy Seven. Just saying.
1997.
But no, like I'm thinking like Sid specifically, and again, a lot of it, a part of it is the music.
Yeah,
I don't know, you haven't played that far, so I'm not gonna say
I
what was going
counted
on.
Sid.
I'm not gonna say what was going on, but when the music's playing and they're doing the thing and they're looking out and they're having a conversation, which it doesn't have any voice acting, which makes the fact that it's so emotionally resonant even more exceptional because it's text on a screen. um, I kind of just dissed books by accident there, and I didn't mean to. um, it's fine. No one cares. Everyone stopped watching after we cut Legend of Zelda first.
Yeah, in the first couple of minutes, we cut Legend of Zelda. No one's been watching this.
So I guess we could do whatever we want. But I don't know, man. Like that's what makes me hesitant to put Persona 5 above Final Fantasy 7.
Mm-hmm.
I said those the right way around, right? Yeah, I did. I'm sorry. I've got a lot of painkillers.
You exactly agree with me. Yes, we can finish.
I've done that before. Oh, it's just every time I think to myself, let's do it, I look and I'm like, but this bit or this song,
Yeah.
the
I
fucking
mean,
Shinra theme.
you said that, and that the Shinra actually kicked in my head. Yeah, I mean, I'm just sitting here thinking, like, can I remember these these musical interludes and stuff? I'm like, you didn't think that Persona 5 would actually reach this far up, yet I'm arguing it to be the best soundtrack. Like, I wasn't really expecting Final Fantasy 7 to get this high up.
I mean, you must have known it was.
It would probably get to the end. I knew
I
it would
don't
get
know, like sheer force of will would have carried it further than Persona 5. If nothing else. This is what democracy gets you, Keith.
This is when it's only two people get us.
If there was a third person, these videos would all be 5 hours long. Because everybody else we know would never concede anything. Like, for all the stuff we did
I don't know,
about...
if we get Patrick into this, we could have a reasoned debate.
For all the stuff we did about Hellblade and Nier,
Yeah.
like, in the cutting phase, like, there were tons of other ones. Silent Hill 2, I'm speechless. But, you know what?
Let's just pretend that there's been a game cut in between the two.
I couldn't... I was flabbergasted. But I got over it. Whereas I feel like if we try to do that to some of the other people we could invite on this podcast, that wouldn't have... the top 10 would have been all theirs. But, oh, man. I don't know. We need to wrap this up, though. We're stuck.
Well, I mean, I've kind of just given you out really by saying that a couple of times that I didn't expect Persona 5 to get this far. Obviously, I can remember a couple of Final Fantasy tracks because I accidentally did the Final Fantasy Victory theme instead of the Link.
Truth.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, they obviously have resonance. They've become sort of enmeshed in our culture. It's like, oh wait, no, you didn't really say this. You just said, "Where's Sephiroth?" and we just charged right in. Final Fantasy VII is an iconic bit of geek lore now, and I'm just looking at Ares just kind of looking at me in the background.
Oh yeah, she's there.
Yeah, just what? You've got the bikes as well,
I've
don't
got
you?
Cloud somewhere as well on the bike. Yeah.
Um, and I do really love the Final Fantasy VII Advent Children soundtrack, and I'm looking forward to the full workup of the original Final Fantasy soundtrack in a sort of for some music that I I appreciate more than I would the original one, which you quite like, because I kind of find it a little annoying at times.
Thank you, a little annoying at times. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. What have I
Right.
done?
So I'm giving it out of like, yeah, we can go for it being number one.
I can't write.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I still hold the overall quality of the music is better on Persona, but the impact, the emotional impact and weight, which I did kind of push for in other games, is there in Final Fantasy
I
VII,
mean, to
which
be
is
fair, like I was like 2 minutes away from just playing the song to myself, and then you could just watch me cry while I stared at you through the webcam.
well, if you told me that, I would have gone.
I'm never going to tell you what my nuclear options are. I mean, there have been times Sega Master System almost made it to the top of the bloody top games consoles list just because it was too awkward for me to get rid of it.
Well, the fact that that console is still not going about actually. Our extended family has a console which is running.
For if it makes you feel any better, it's a completely even top 10 in terms of your games and my games. Haven't just counted them because both of our crossovers made it.
Mm.
And then
I mean, Persona 5 wasn't initially in my top 10 games, in my top 7 games. That came in with Witcher 3.
And I mean, if you want to do the breakdowns of the numbers, you've made out better in the top 5 than I did. But here's the final list. Nope, that's the crossed out bit. Here's the final list. I just moved the microphone. Ow, I just hit myself in the head. It's all gone wrong.
Oh no, it's going to fall in the webcam.
Ah! Friendly debates. The top 10 video game original soundtracks of all time, I guess. Number 10, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Number 9, Mass Effect 3. Number 8, Doom 2016. Number 7, Halo 2. Number 6, Nier Automata. Number 5, Halo 3. Number 4, Hellblade. Number 3, Bastion. Number 2, Persona 5. And number 1, Final Fantasy 7. We did it. We did a list. If we could do this, we can do anything. There's a list at this point.
I could just see like my image reflected off the whiteboard there. Just leaning closer and closer.
If we could do this, wait, no, we did it. I'm happy enough with that list.
Yeah.
I mean, there are obviously things that I would cut off of that top 10 to replace with other things, and there are obviously things that you would cut off the top 10 to replace with other things.
You made a top 10, and I made a top 10, and then we had to come up to a consensus.
But we have that back and forth chemistry of sometimes we can be dicks. I apologise for talking shit about Hellblade. I was just trying to move things along a little bit.
Yeah,
While still...
I followed the Steam discussing groups for like 8 months waiting for them to release that soundtrack. Then was kind of annoyed that the full cut of...
I could have been even more brutal, and I could have just gone for Bastion. I thought about it.
Bastion, it's like, I get what you... That guy, if we ever do people who do soundtracks, like the composers themselves, he needs to be up there.
I think we might do.
But yeah... Now, Bastion just has, admittedly, like 4 or 5 songs, whereas some of the other ones, you can listen to like the whole album. So I agree with your like statements on that one. It's just that the Coming Home Set and Sail.
Oh.
It's a beautiful song.
Absolutely.
It's like listening to those certain tracks from Ori. I keep thinking I should make a playlist of just video game songs which like are amazing.
I did. But as far as this video goes, it's probably already super fucking long.
Yeah.
I mean, I would imagine it's double the length of a normal one because it's double the size. But that's going to do it for this video. We'll be back next week. We're doing a patch notes video. I feel like we could probably do some discussions just based off some of the things that we've brought up in this video. It's like about specific games, but we might do. But in 2 weeks, we'll be doing another top five.
Yeah, I mean, we could do an entire podcast just off Persona 5 compared to Final Fantasy 7 and how they deal with certain themes.
Yes. But the next one won't be as intense. I always like to space out the ones that I know are going to be intense. I've got an idea for one. I'll let Keith know. Anyway, that's going to do it. Say bye, Keith.
Bye-bye.